enlightening, inspirational, powerfully refining, and unapologetically controversial. Conversations with the Royal Empress. The entire world knows the secret of who you are. Now is the time to step into your queendom and become the Royal Empress that you're meant to be. One woman at a time. Conversations with the Royal Empress. Now Akila, she's the analytical Empress. Akima, she's the Empress that will challenge you. Now, straighten up your crown and be elevated through conversations. Conversations with the Royal Empress.
Welcome back to Conversations with the Royal Empress. This is Dr. Hakima, and joining me is my sister from another mother. Y'all know who she is, my kindred spirit and co-host of Royal Empress, Akila. Also joining us is a very special co-host, a sister that's a dear sister to me. When they're in the dictionary where they got sister, they got this sister's picture right next to it. Her name is Cassandra Jackson, aka San. Everybody know it's San. So you know you dope when people don't have to know you better when they know you about half your name. You know, that's just how cold this sister is. But let me give you a short introduction of my sister. Cassandra Jackson, aka San, is a devoted mother, a devoted member of the Order of the Eastern Star. She is a proven leader of Black women. I've seen it for myself. She's a health clinic professional that serves in the poverty area, and she will give her right arm for a sister. Call her 3 a.m. to come get you, she there. Call her 3 a.m. and say, I need $200. She will have a GoFundMe account set up. She'll have half the money. She'll be to call everybody in the neighborhood to get some money to you. This is Sam. It's the truth though, Akila. I have to say it. That's the type of sister she is. She'll go all out for you. Now, today's topic is life struggles of young Black women due to lack of knowledge of self. This is going to be a heavy topic, you all. I just think it needs to be addressed. And being that Royal Empress has just introduced our Royal Empress Naomi project, which we are mentoring young Black women, this would be a good topic to kind of discuss right now. So, Sam, I'll go ahead and ask you. I mean, what do you think about that? The life struggles that young Black women experience due to lack of knowledge?
Well, from my experience in working in the healthcare area, I encounter a lot of young women. They, I know I'm supposed to keep this short, but they feel from just talking to them and seeing them coming in with a broken spirit. If you reach out to them and talk to them and you're meeting them at their level and it's not a discussion toward them pointing the finger and blaming, they're eager to learn to come out of the process that they're in, so much as to break the cycle that they're in where they feel like that they have nowhere else to go, or the only thing that they have to offer to make themselves feel whole is giving themselves to a man or giving themselves to the everyday struggles. They're given different avenues when they come into the clinic about what they can do, but if it's not explained to them, a lot of them don't know because they haven't been taught from home, just basic life skills as far as making their link or the money that they get monthly to last. They don't even know how to grocery shop. Most of them, the community I work in is a food desert, so they only can go to certain places because they don't have transportation. But when you tell them of different things and teach them just basic skills on how to look in a sale paper, to figure out how to make their stuff last, once you do that and you take time with them, I've found that most of them are receptive. And then they come back, they're so happy. They'll say, well, I did this works. And then they're eager to learn. So I just think that us, as if we want to call ourselves seasonal women, we should not forget that we need to reach back to grab somebody to pull them along, because it's not their fault, and they only can deal with so much, because depression is starting to really take over in our community, and it's really affecting them. So when the depression affects them, it's affecting the children. So the cycle is never going to be broken.
And what type of clinic do you work with at?
I work at a FQHC clinic, which is a federally qualified healthcare center, which means we get subsidized from the government to help where it might fall short if they're uninsured or underinsured. So we call it the community health center because that's where it is, and we try to reach them mentally, physically, and spiritually, but sometimes it's not always feasible to do that because you're trying to do all that to capture them in that one visit, because you might not see them anymore, or they don't feel comfortable enough to come back because they feel like they're being judged when they come. So it's all about when you meet them. At our clinic, we do what I call, at least on my side, which I work mainly in OB. So I see pregnant moms, teen moms. I give them the red carpet treatment. So when they come in, they're treated like they're royalty, basically. It's all about them, at least for that one visit, so that I can get them to come back so they can continue to open up and get the resources that they need.
I've noticed that with young people myself, that many of them are eager to learn when you talk to them with dignity.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk to them like they are actually a human being. And one of the things that tends to happen, and even though it affects, I think, young women in general, regardless of socioeconomic conditions, but in particular, a lower income community or segment of our community are so used to people being rude and, treating them as if, like they're less than. And so you couple that with whatever else that they're going through. And I think and that's why we see more issues sometimes in our community, in lower income or, lower socioeconomic communities, simply because of the treatment and, the things that they don't have access to, and things that they're just simple things that you're just not taught. And again, I see it across the board. Where people seem like they can still come from good families and they're struggling because it's still something missing, that we don't necessarily get sometimes as young women growing up. And I feel like even though, I grew up in a decent home and all of that, but I still learned so much more from other women along the way. Mm-hmm. Other mentors, all of that makes a difference, and you're exposed, because regardless of what families we come up in, our exposure is limited to whatever it is that our parents have been exposed to. Exactly. And so when you open up and you can get around other people, you learn more and more and more, because there's not a one size fits all. Everybody's not going to know everything. But I definitely see that and even with my own clients, sometimes for me, I'll meet people and it's just like little things that they don't know. And they're like, really? Oh, I can do that. I mean, it's just simple. And it's just, a lot of it is just conversation, but it's stop looking at people like, oh, you should know this. And if you know it, just teach it. Mm-hmm. It's that whole each one teach one. And, but then there's some young people that also have to humble themselves too, and not think that they just know it all and nobody can tell them anything.
I was one of those young ones that didn't want to hear nothing. I didn't want to hear nothing from my mother because I thought I knew. Because I had turned 18, I just thought I had the answer for everything. And what the breakthrough for me was when, not my mom, but, a mentor, someone who had to really show me, since you know everything, why is your life the way it is? She had to really come at me to show me, if you have all the answers, why are you not happy with the condition that you're living in? And that was an icebreaker for me. That was an eye opener because it was a breakthrough. At that point is when I decided to open up to a woman outside of my mother to say, you know what, you're right. Let me really start listening. Because if I had all the answers, my life, I wouldn't be seeking answers. So it opened my mind up, and sometimes to get to our young people, you have to put that work in, because this sister spent months trying to reach me and I wasn't trying to hear her. So sometimes we, as an older sister, we say young sister, we try to talk to them, and then it's a one and done type of conversation. We don't want to put the work in to develop that relationship, and that's something that we got to get away from. It's value there, so we got to put that work in to break through to some of these sisters, because it's not going to be easy. We got to build that trust. We got to show them that we do add value to their life, and it could be difficult at times.
Well, when you well, I it took someone else to be a mentor to me outside of my mom. I grew up in a, I'm not going to say normal because you can't classify home as normal, but my life was a good life. But I too chose not to want to listen, thinking I was grown and I was in the street and I experienced other things. And it took someone else to tell me the same things that my mother told me, but I didn't accept them from her. I
Mm.
accepted them from somebody else. So it took me a while to learn that. And maybe that's why I'm more receptive to and watching people and just knowing, for whatever reason, I can tell when it's something wrong with one of the clients when they come in. It can either be a look, a walk, or anything like that. But I had to learn in dealing with them, when you have the young ladies that don't want to listen at that point in time, or they're not hearing you, or if they're in a mode where they going off and they blaming and they doing everything else, you have to learn, or we have to learn as women, not to take it personal. That's just their mechanism of dealing with whatever they have on their plate at that time. And it's not personal toward us, but they have no one else to lash out to that they know that's really going to listen and reach back to try to help them. So I think if we're more conscious about that aspect of it, and not just saying that they don't know or they don't want to listen. You can't, like you said, you can't just say it one time and try to reach and then walk away and say they're not receptive, because some take longer than others to get it, and some have been damaged so much that it's going to take that work to even get them to open up to trust you.
We have
So,
women that are, go ahead, I'm sorry. I'm like,
no, I was done.
yeah, I'm sitting up and thinking what you just said. Please, there are women that are in their 40s and 50s with the same issues.
Keela, stop talking about me.
But I mean, and I can agree with that as well. But I'm just saying, if we learn not to take it personal, because I
Right.
mean, I have some older friends that's way older than me, and I'm like, you still in the same place we were in when we were 20 or 19.
Yes.
So then I look at that, and I keep that in my mind and in the back of the mind when I'm dealing with a younger person that I'm trying to help. And then that keeps me calm and not to go in mommy mode or dictation role with her, and just like demanding or yelling at her or chastising her, because I know it's people that's way older than her that haven't gotten it yet. I just want to be like a stone she can step on, or pebbles she can throw in the water and see the wrinkles, from the water, that, okay, this is possible. I can do this. I have somebody in my corner. So I don't press myself on them or any of my beliefs. First, I listen to them, and then I say, well, okay, I listen to you. Is it okay that you listen to me? These are some of the things I think you need to try. So how about you try one and you come back and you tell me where we can pick up from this point? And I'm not supposed to, but because it's me and it's my heart and I have to do what's placed on my heart, I'll give them my cell phone number. Like Hakeem said, I don't care if it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I tell them, if you just need to scream or yell, call me. You can scream and yell in the phone if that's going to get you to a better place. I just don't want to leave them in the darkness and in that dark place, because I've been there and I know how it feels. And I was thankful that somebody reached for me. So I just think, as a woman, even though we all may bear our own children, or some of us don't have children, that should just be our general nature, to want to help another young lady along the way.
I'm in full agreement. That's why I say each one teach one. I just believe that we need each other. And that's why I'm always disturbed when I hear people say, when I hear women say, I don't like other women, or I don't get along with other women, and not understanding the power of sisterhood and of having somebody that you can call a big sister who has some type of knowledge to impart on you. And so when we introduced the topic and we said they lack knowledge, but what type of knowledge is it that they lack?
Good question.
Because that's general in the sense that, are we talking about knowledge of self? You can have knowledge of self and still lack knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You could lack knowledge about parenting. You can lack knowledge about just how to take care of your body.
Oh, teach.
There are so many things that we don't even know, that some people don't even know about. When you were saying basic life skills, that's a lack of knowledge. Don't understand how to pay a bill. Don't understand how to sign a check. Don't know, although nobody's really using checks much nowadays.
Right.
Except for us old school people. But there's just, but the thing is that I think what I would love for young women to understand is that if you don't know something, that it's perfectly okay to ask.
And see, and that's the problem. Yeah. They have been browbeat so much that they think that asking is going to cause more turmoil or more put down or let down. So that's another reason why my clinic, I enforce the red carpet. When they come in there, everybody is on the same playing field. Nobody's no different than anybody else. I have discussions with them on my own in the waiting room. Because a lot of them have problems because the area I work in, they don't have transportation like they do in the city of Chicago. You missed a bus out here, might not get another one 3 hours later. Or they can't make their appointment because the transportation that comes with their Medicaid will give them the runaround and say, well, no, we don't have a driver. Well, they know if they're told that, and they tell the people at the transportation, oh, no, I'm calling Miss Sand. She gonna make you bring, and they'll call, but it's like people, even when you give them the skills to do what they need to do, they're afraid to use those skills because they feel like if they speak, no one's listening. So I guess I'm explaining this right, because from just sitting talking to them, and when you say they can have a lack of, most of them do have a lack of self-worth. That plays a part in it. They don't have basic life skills. And then when they have children, they try to do their best to raise the children. But because of the society we live in, then I'm dealing with the fact that the pediatrician, or if they take their baby to the ER, wants to call the state, DCFS, because they're saying you didn't do this. So now I'm not bringing my kid to the doctor because I don't know what that lady is going to do. Is she going to try to take my child from me? Even though they're not looking at, she might not have the basic parenting skills. So she needs a parenting class. Or she someone to give her directives to be able to reach out. So when just speaking from the medical aspect of it, yeah, you might give them Medicaid to go to the doctor to take, for their health issues, but who's addressing these life skill tactics that they need to have? And I just think that all plays on to the mom or the young lady, because they don't know how to navigate through the system. The only way they know how to navigate through the system is to dodge the system or play the system. The system is not designed for these young ladies to even break the cycle, because they're not giving them all the tools that they necessarily need to navigate through.
Wow. You said something very key, and that is allowing people to vent. And I'm up here writing notes, because when the one thing you said about not taking rejection personal, I'll be taking it personal. Like, well, F you then. You know what I mean? That's my thinking. Like, I got some knowledge for you. You don't want it. F you. I'm not saying it, but I'm thinking to myself, F you then. You know what I mean? Because I'm taking that rejection personal, not really thinking about, what if she don't know you from Adam? So she don't trust you. Like, what trust did you build with this sister? So how can you be judgmental on her? And that leads to the next thing that stood out from what you were saying, is not being judgmental. Let these sisters vent. And if that sister snapping, it ain't on you, it's her frustration. Instead of taking it as if it's an attack, it's just really saying, man, sister, I didn't realize you was hurting like that. Now, how can I help you? Is very key, and those are very instrumental factors in building a strong sisterhood. Because we're very judgmental with each other,
Right. And I mean, that's something that I learn every day, and especially working, I can say they taught me something. The young people taught me how to not be judgmental, because listening at what they're saying, and then, when you turn on the TV or the news, it's always something negative about that generation. And nobody's listening to them. You hear them, but are you listening to the cries that they're crying out? It's not that they're bad, or it's not that they're not willing to learn, but you have to take the whole big picture to see, okay, where is she at with this? Where is she at with that? Again, it's those basic life skills. They're not equipped with them, and they don't know how to build on them. And then they have a trust issue, because everything is designed not against them, but they have so many barriers that they have to try to climb through to even get to a status of saying, well, okay, I feel safe here. Let me stay here for a while to see what I can get from this aspect before it's coming from somewhere else. And to try to make this point, like, if I have them in my clinic and they're going through their pregnancy, and we're doing the red carpet, and I'm trying to help them, and we're going through all of this, and then you have to take your baby to the pediatrician. Sometimes, and it depends on who the provider is and what they're looking like, because we have to be, in my setting where I work, if a provider comes out of school and they work in this setting because they deem it a poor area or whatever, their student loans is paid. So they're not even looking at, sometimes you get a bad doctor that don't have bedside manners, and it scares them. So the kid never comes back for shots, never do this. And then when they do decide to come back, you're judging them because they didn't come, but nobody asked them about their previous experience. And they're too afraid to report the stuff because they don't think anybody is going to believe them. So I deal with a whole lot of trying to put out fires. So I guess that's why more of them trust me, because I don't have a problem speaking up for the person that I feel that's an underdog, and especially when I feel like you're trying to keep them oppressed. So it goes all back to listening, and people can say they listening, but are you really listening? Are you really hearing what they say? So in doing that, we can't be judgmental. It all goes back to that. And you have to be open to what they're saying, because sometimes they check me. They be like, oh, you, that's not how you usually be. What's wrong with you? They can tell when I have things when I'm in the clinic, because if they come in and I'm not talking about mine, how you doing or what you doing, they like, oh no, we're going to have to do something. What's wrong with Miss Sam? What's wrong with you? And I be like, nothing. They be like, no, you tell them, because they look at my body language just like I look at them. So I have to and I come back, they be like, come on back. You can't do this. So you see what I'm saying? So if you it's a wonderful, I can't even explain it. I'm about to be in tears right now, because they're my babies. And for them to know me as well as I know them, you see what and I know it'll work, because I see it every day. And I feel it every day. And they know when I'm having a bad day. I talk to them about my children. When they get on my nerve, they be like, oh, you just got to let him go. He'll come back. He hear you. So as I'm helping them. So they bring me joy. I don't like going to work for somebody else, but I go because I got to see my babies. Just and I know, and they call me, like, where are you? And it's just all about talking to them. And some of my coworkers get upset because they'll be like, oh no, we can't talk to you. We need to talk to Miss Sam, because they know they run giving them around. I'm like, no, you should be able to do this and do that. And I don't know, my name is on so many people's Medicaid thing that I can call and talk for them, because that's what they do. You see, and they like, well, no, you just call them and tell them. So it gives, because I know they're learning. And then when they come back and they tell me, well, I went back to school and I got this and I did this, and my son is better off because you told me to do that. It's a good thing. And we have a program at my clinic that's called Centering Pregnancy. I started the program, but somebody else is doing it now. It's where we put a bunch of moms together that's in the same trimester weeks, if you have it. And the class is their visit, but the class is taught based on what they need. And we teach life skills in this class. We teach them about birth and birth control, if you're being battered by your spouse. But the class is really led by them. To have so many of them go through that, and then they come back and they teach the class to the next set of women. So that opens up a job for them. So we give them a stipend to do that. We're trying to start it with parenting. So it works if you just take the time with them, because from when we started it, it was 7 years ago. So all of my babies from 7 years, they all surprised and they came back. These children are 7 years old. Their moms have went on and finished and done different things. So they come back. The ones I taught how to breastfeed, they come back and they teach the other moms how to breastfeed. It gives them a sense of awareness, a sense of self. And they know that they're supposed to help somebody else. So it's just a beauty. I just think if everybody gets on it, we would be better as a community, better as a people, and it would affect society greater. But I mean, it'll take time, but just piece by piece, one by one, it's a beautiful thing.
Wow. That has to be an amazing job.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, to be rewarded because you can see the difference that you're making. But one of the things that it's obvious is that you don't take it personal and you don't have ego in it. And that's the thing. And you understand that there's something to learn from them too. And I think that's the key for many of us. If we really want to be sister friends to other women, to younger women, we have to take the ego out of it. But we also have to understand that regardless of what it is you have to offer and teach them, they actually have something to give to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's reciprocated. It's reciprocated learning.
Yeah, they're going to teach you something. Even if it's how to deal with someone else with that same issue when that next person comes down the pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to learn something. And so we can't be so arrogant or so I don't like other women, and understand that there's still something to get from mentor. From someone else. And that everybody, no matter what their status or position in life, has something to offer and to teach you. And that's part of it, is that we have to move past that aspect of thinking that we know everything and that we're all knowing, and we want to impart wisdom, and then you're offended when somebody is not listening. Maybe you don't know how to reach them because you got to come down off whatever cloud you're on.
Teach.
So that you can relate to that next person.
Yes.
And that's just the reality of it. But a lot of us don't do that. We don't realize you're no better when you realize that you're no greater than the person next to you.
Mm-hmm.
Let the church say amen.
Like I always say, if you just, the hand that you're holding that's next to you, because we do a little circle thing, and I tell them all the time, if you only knew the story of the hand that you're holding, and we just need to keep that in mind. You don't know what the other person's struggle was or what happened to get them to that point. If only you knew. Yeah. And the only way you're going to know is to have a genuine heart and genuinely reach out, and not reaching out just to say you did it. It's the payback would be to see that person succeed. We have to, I think as women, we have to learn to dance in the storm with our sister, and also rejoice in her son.
That's right.
And until we learn to do that, it's going to always be a disconnect. So you have to, there is no reason why a sister should dance in her storm alone. But if you have to dance in that storm alone, it would be nice to know when your sun shine that they're coming as genuine people and not just to steal your shine. So, I mean, it's just, I'm just at a different place. And I think I don't mind sharing my story with the young people, the older people, or whatever it is, because in my storm, I know dancing through that storm, now that I'm in the light, to continue to have my light, I have to share what that storm was about and why that darkness was there.
Do you feel like when you share that with younger people, they relate to you more?
Yes. It's amazing. At first, I used to be scared, and when, like I shared with Hakima, I don't like public speaking. And I know eventually my platform will be me standing on that platform telling my story. But when I'm telling it to a young person or just telling it one-on-one, it's never my intention. It just happens.
Right.
And once it happens, it's just like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And then to see that it's helping somebody else, it just makes my light shine even brighter. So I'm going to continue to tell it when it needs to be told. And no matter if I'm judged or whatever the outcome may be, it's not for anyone to understand my storm or for them to understand my son, but it's for me to share it so someone else can be able to dance in my son with me. And that's where I am in life, and that's why I don't, like I said, I don't want to work for other people, but for right now I got to get to the babies. You see what I'm saying? But in the end result, when I say life skills and things that they need to learn, I have things that I want to work on to do that, to be able to give them that safe haven and that atmosphere where they can come and feel like they can just open up and get those skills that they need, or just be able to speak out freely. Because I think they just feel like that they're in a box, but they need to be let out of that box. And they have so much to offer and to teach other people, including me, because like I said, I learned so much from them. They taught me how not to be judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
They taught me how not to judge. Everybody can say you don't judge a book by its cover, but we all know we do. You, just like you said, women will say in a minute, I don't like her. Okay, why you don't like her? Because her hair long, because she light skinned, just craziness. And they have taught me to accept people for who they are, where they are, and where they're trying to go. And I thank them for that every day.
Yeah.
Well, that takes us to our challenges. Ooh, see, you know what? You know you influenced my challenges, sis, saying you did. Okay, the red carpet treatment is our number one challenge. We have to give each other that red carpet treatment. Now, I'm gonna give you credit though when I use it though, saying I am, because I like that.
That's fine.
How often are we really going out our way to make our sister feel wanted, to make her feel valued? That's something we need to work on. We need to start showing value to one another. We need to start communicating that value to one another. Sister, I love you. You make a difference in my life. I need you in my life. We need to be more vocal and more communicate more about how we feel about one another on a positive level. Challenge number 2, don't take rejection personal. I told you that's one I do. I don't like what she said. Okay, we got to get out of that because, like you said, saying that's our sister. She cried out. She hurting. Let her go ahead and vent. You good, sis? You done? I still love you though. We got to be able to allow our sisters to vent. The next one is allow sisters to vent with no judgment. Not just allowing our sisters to vent, but without judging them. We have to let our sisters feel comfortable to vent so that they can heal. They can't heal without venting, and we have to give them that platform. And the last one is teaching is learning. You demonstrated that you not when you teach others, you learn because you give them something and then they give you something in return. Teaching is reciprocated because you learn as you teach. And those are the 4 challenges. Sam, this is where we give you your last word. Is there any last words you would like to give? And also let our listeners know how they can reach out to you, my sister.
Well, my last word would be, because of the young people, stop taking things personal and listen. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, my cell phone number is 708-205-6537. And I always have it, and it's always on for venting.
I'm gonna call you tonight. I'm just gonna scream in the phone.
That's fine.
To our listeners, I want to thank you so much for joining in. You got a chance to really hear and get to know a real sister. And I don't speak on sisters like this often this sister would do what she can to help you, and I love her for this. Thank you all for tuning in this week, and we look forward to you tuning in next week to Conversations with the Royal Empress.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Conversations with the Royal Empress. Tune in next week for another enlightening conversation. For more information on the Royal Empress, please visit the website royalempress.org. You can also follow the Royal Empress on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Conversations with the Royal Empress is a subsidiary of the Royal Empress organization. All rights reserved.